Step back into the forge, drop your fragile ego, and listen. You wake up highly motivated. You write down the perfect routine. You swear today will be different. And by noon, you have already failed again. The crushing weight of your own broken promises is destroying your self-respect. Step back into the forge. Drop your fragile ego and listen. You are absolutely not lacking motivation. You are lacking an iron system. Over 2,000 years ago, Emperor Marcus Aurelius did not rely on fleeting motivation to rule the Roman Empire. He relied on a brutal, uncompromising framework of self-mastery. True discipline is not a temporary feeling, it is an architecture. Welcome to Ataraxia Forge. We are actively unlocking the 7 ancient laws to reconstruct your mind. Your pathetic cycle of endless failure ends exactly right now. Rebuild the iron mind. Let us begin. Rule 1. The art of strategic ignorance. Rule number 1. The art of strategic ignorance. You are constantly surrounded by an endless ocean of meaningless noise. We live in an era where absolutely everyone believes their uneducated opinion deserves your immediate attention. They desperately want to criticize your path, mock your ambition, and drag you down to their comfortable level of mediocrity. Average minds exhaust their energy fighting every single minor battle, defending their fragile ego against baseless criticism. But the truly dangerous individual operates on a completely different level of awareness. He actively practices the devastating art of strategic ignorance. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus understood that the approval of the masses is entirely outside of your control and therefore completely worthless. Emperor Marcus Aurelius practically ruled the known world, but he consciously chose to be deaf to the toxic complaints of the weak. Your peace of mind demands absolute ruthlessness against meaningless noise. This stoic indifference is not about being arrogant. It is about aggressively maintaining an iron internal locus of control. You cannot dictate what weak people say, but you hold supreme authority over what you choose to hear. When you deliberately choose to ignore the naysayers, you instantly strip them of their heavy power over you. Every single time you furiously react to a critic, you are paying them with your most finite and valuable currency, your focus. Why on earth would you ever hand over your mental clarity to someone who hasn't even built a single thing in their own life? You must ruthlessly evaluate the source. If they are not in the arena getting covered in blood and sweat, their opinion does not exist. Let them fight their own invisible demons. Let them drown in their own pathetic negativity. You do not argue. You do not explain. You build your empire in deep, intimidating silence. They desperately want your reaction because they have absolutely nothing else in their miserable lives. Starve them of your attention now. Prepare for rule number 2. Rule 2. The architecture of delayed rewards. Rule number 2. The architecture of delayed rewards. We currently exist in a deeply pathetic culture of instant gratification. Everything around you is specifically designed to continually give you cheap, immediate, and utterly meaningless pleasure. Toxic fast food, mindless endless scrolling, and utterly empty instant entertainment. Modern society actively conditions you to behave like an impulsive child, constantly chasing the next quick dopamine hit. But this endless pursuit of immediate comfort is exactly what keeps you weak, distracted, and completely miserable. The truly disciplined mind fundamentally rejects this cheap existence. He understands that anything of genuine value requires massive patience, deep sacrifice, and the strategic delay of reward. Emperor Marcus Aurelius viewed the mastery of human impulses not simply as a personal habit, but as the ultimate path to true freedom. He knew that a man enslaved to his immediate desires is nothing more than a prisoner in his own mind. Your ability to wait is the ultimate measure of your internal power. Delayed gratification is not about painfully denying yourself happiness. It is about actively refusing to trade what you want most for what you simply want right now. When you choose to endure the temporary pain of a grueling workout instead of remaining on the couch, you are building architecture. When you choose to ruthlessly save your resources instead of buying useless status symbols, you are constructing an unbreakable fortress. Every single time you consciously delay a cheap reward, you are aggressively training your brain to execute long-term warfare. You are no longer a victim of passing emotions. You finally become a brilliant strategic architect of your own magnificent destiny. While the weak masses drown in their immediate, shallow pleasures, you are quietly building an empire that will actually last. Stop trading your massive potential for a few seconds of pathetic comfort. Cheap dopamine is for the weak now. Let us forge aggressively ahead to rule number 3. Rule 3. The sphere of absolute control. Rule number 3. The sphere of absolute control. The average man practically spends his entire existence in a pathetic state of constant anxiety, deeply agonizing over things he cannot possibly change. He bitterly complains about the unpredictable economy, the deeply unfair actions of other people, and the chaotic nature of the world. This behavior is the ultimate definition of modern weakness. The unbreakable Stoic mind operates on a completely different framework, the strict dichotomy of control. Emperor Marcus Aurelius clearly understood that you have absolutely zero physical power over external events. You can only effectively control your own intellect, your intense physical effort, and your calculated daily reactions. Your true power lies strictly within the impenetrable fortress of your own mind. When you finally stop actively bleeding your precious energy on uncontrollable global chaos, you instantly reclaim your absolute personal sovereignty. If the entire financial market unexpectedly crashes to the ground, if toxic people maliciously betray your deep trust, you absolutely do not ever panic. You immediately shift your sharp focus onto the only single thing that actually matters in that exact moment, your next precise strategic move. You detach entirely from the chaotic final outcome, and you fully dominate the brutal execution process. This specific sharp realization instantly destroys all irrational anxiety. It completely transforms you from a helpless victim of unpredictable circumstance into a deeply untouchable force of nature. You simply observe the aggressively burning world around you, and you independently dictate your own calm internal weather. Worrying endlessly about things outside your immediate control is a pathetic waste of your highly finite life. Master your mind. Conquer your reality. Now, brace yourself for rule number 4. Rule 4. The unshakable internal compass. Rule number 4. The unshakable internal compass. The vast majority of men wake up every single morning with absolutely no idea why they exist. They simply float through life, reacting blindly to whatever random problem is placed directly in front of them. This is absolutely not living. This is wandering aimlessly toward your own death. To build a mind of iron, you must forge a devastatingly clear sense of purpose. Emperor Marcus Aurelius deeply believed that self-discipline does not start with forcing yourself to wake up early or work harder. It always starts with a brutal understanding of your exact mission on this earth. A man without a clear purpose is a man who is already defeated. When you possess an unshakable internal compass, discipline becomes completely automatic. You do not ever need cheap motivation to execute your daily tasks. You simply look at your ultimate goal, and you ruthlessly eliminate any minor distraction that temporarily stands in your way. Modern society desperately wants you to chase shiny objects, wealth, empty status, and meaningless titles. But the unbreakable Stoic mind operates strictly on duty. You must sit down in absolute silence today and aggressively interrogate your own soul. What exactly are you building? Who are you protecting? What is the heavy legacy you will leave behind when your finite time finally runs out? When you discover that profound reason, the chaos of the world becomes entirely irrelevant. You become an unstoppable force marching forward with terrifying precision. Do not ever dare to call yourself disciplined if you do not even know what you are fighting for right now. Find your war win. Now face the harsh reality of rule number 5 in this relentless iron framework today. Rule 5. The crucible of voluntary hardship. Rule number 5. The brutal crucible of voluntary hardship. Look around at the deeply fragile, painfully soft modern world today. Almost every single person is absolutely obsessed with securing endless physical and psychological comfort. Ordinary people constantly manipulate their daily environment to aggressively avoid even the slightest hint of pain, cold, or temporary hunger. But the ancient Stoics deeply understood a terrifying, undeniable reality. Extreme continuous comfort heavily breeds extreme mental weakness. When real life inevitably forces brutal tragedy upon you, your soft, completely untested mind will instantly shatter into 1,000 pieces. To actually forge an iron will, you must aggressively practice the devastatingly powerful art of voluntary hardship. Emperor Marcus Aurelius possessed unimaginable wealth and absolute global power, yet he deliberately chose to sleep on the freezing, hard ground and wear intensely rough clothing. He repeatedly stripped away his own magnificent luxuries on purpose. You must heavily manufacture your own adversity before life brutally forces it upon you. This practice is absolutely not about mindless, pathetic self-punishment. It is a highly strategic, calculated military simulation for your own soul. When you deliberately choose to endure a grueling physical challenge, when you force your protesting body into a freezing cold shower, or when you ruthlessly deny yourself a very basic daily convenience, you are actively expanding your heavy psychological armor. You are aggressively teaching your anxious brain that you can easily survive and massively thrive with absolutely nothing. Most average men live completely terrified of losing their precious, fragile comforts. But when you voluntarily expose yourself to the harsh storm, you violently strip away that pathetic fear. You quickly realize you absolutely do not ever need their shiny modern luxuries to completely dominate your reality. The thoroughly weak will forever passionately pray for an exceptionally easy, comfortable existence that simply does not ever exist. Seek the fire, forge the iron. Now, face the uncompromising truth of rule number 6. Rule 6, the rejection of the victim mindset. Rule number 6, the rejection of the victim mindset. The modern world absolutely loves to reward professional victims. It actively encourages you to constantly blame your difficult childhood, your terrible boss, or your unfair circumstances for your massive failures. This toxic mindset is a highly infectious disease. When you passionately play the helpless victim, you are voluntarily handing over complete control of your entire life to the exact people and events that deeply hurt you. The uncompromising Stoic philosophy demands absolute, brutal ownership of your reality. Emperor Marcus Aurelius powerfully stated that if you simply choose not to feel harmed, you have not been harmed. Extreme ownership is the ultimate foundation of a truly unconquerable mind. You might not be physically responsible for the heavy trauma that unexpectedly struck you, but you are absolutely 100% responsible for exactly how you choose to heal and actively move forward. Complaining aggressively solves absolutely nothing. It only violently drains your highly limited, precious daily energy. When you finally destroy your pathetic excuses, you instantly reclaim your massive internal power. You stop asking why this heavy burden happened to you, and you start demanding what you will aggressively do about it today. Every single painful obstacle is just another necessary whetstone meant to sharply grind your iron discipline. Do not ever let random external chaos heavily dictate your internal emotional state. You are not a fragile leaf violently blowing in the bitter wind. You are the deeply rooted, immovable tree that absolutely breaks the storm with pure silence. A disciplined man fiercely refuses to surrender his precious autonomy. Nobody is ever coming to generously save your pathetic life from this heavily miserable reality. Own your failures. Now build your iron empire today. Now prepare for the final judgment. Rule 7. The Midnight Reckoning. Independent block. Rule number 7. The Midnight Reckoning. The day is finally over. The endless noise of the outside world has entirely faded into deep, intimidating silence. This exact solitary moment is where your iron discipline is truly tested. Most modern men completely avoid being alone with their own thoughts. They violently fear the uncompromising truth. They desperately distract themselves with mindless, glowing screens until they simply pass out. But the truly unbreakable Stoic mind actively seeks this daily midnight reckoning. The great philosophers like Seneca and Emperor Marcus Aurelius strictly practiced the rigorous, uncompromising evening review. Every single night, they mercilessly interrogated their own specific actions with absolute, cold objectivity. They asked themselves difficult questions. Did I act with true courage today? Did I let my petty, fragile anger control my necessary actions? Did I carelessly waste my highly finite time on meaningless things that do not serve my ultimate mission? True accountability happens in the terrifying silence when absolutely nobody else is watching you. You must permanently construct a daily, non-negotiable habit of brutal self-reflection. You sit down in complete silence with a physical journal, and you look directly into the mirror. You absolutely cannot ever lie to the man looking back at you. You must ruthlessly document your massive, unavoidable daily failures. You do not do this to wallow in pathetic, useless guilt, but to surgically extract the heavily necessary tactical lessons for tomorrow's impending war. You briefly acknowledge your small victories. You detach from your emotional ego, and then you immediately prepare your mind for the next brutal battle. Every single night becomes a highly strict, uncompromising military audit of your own soul. A man who passionately refuses to honestly confront his own daily failures is mathematically doomed to miserably repeat them forever. Face, mirror, own the truth. Now, deliberately prepare your mind for the final judgment. You have been handed the exact blueprint of a conqueror. Most weak individuals will simply scroll past this video, instantly forgetting every single word, returning to their pathetic, comfortable lives. But you are still here. That proves the ancient fire has not completely died within your soul. Philosophical knowledge without aggressive execution is strictly just another cheap form of modern entertainment. It is finally time to permanently execute this iron framework in reality. A man who merely listens to profound wisdom without taking brutal, immediate action is mathematically nothing more than a highly educated fool. No more excuses. Do the work now. If this message deeply disturbed your fragile ego today, good. Subscribe to Ataraxia Forge right now. Do not just blindly consume this. Make a commitment. Drop the exact words "Iron Mind" in the comments below to publicly secure your strict dedication. Until next time, stay disciplined, stay dangerous.